This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one-of-its-kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sfurti, shakti and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
Hi everybody, welcome to Storytellers Cafe. I'm Usha Venkatraman from the studios in Cincinnati, Ohio, in a lovely suburb called Mason, where the Bharat FM studio is located. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and host today's session from the studios. So, welcome everyone. A warm welcome, good evening, namaskaram to all the viewers across southern India, especially Chennai, and a warm welcome to all the listeners and viewers from Mumbai and other states across India. And of course, a special warm good morning to all the listeners in Cincinnati. It isn't warm, it's raining, right? But I'm sure the stories that you're going to hear will warm the cockles of your heart. So stay tuned. And to all the listeners across the United States, in Atlanta, I think North Carolina, Chicago, if you're tuning in, and of course, San Francisco and Phoenix. Welcome to Storytellers Cafe. You know, I'm in this beautiful city of Cincinnati. If ever there was a city built upon a river, it is Cincinnati. So the river defines the city, the downtown. And as the prosperity flowed in, so did its art, culture, sports, and of course the famous chili. But Cincinnati is famous because my favorite actor, George Clooney, is from this state. The American actor and filmmaker who shares his birth year 1961 with me, recipient of the 3 Golden Globe Awards and 2 Academy Awards. And he is from this wonderful state of Ohio. And Cincinnati is also known for Rookwood pottery. Now, what is great about Rookwood pottery is the leader is a female. It was under the guidance of owner Marilyn Scripps, who started Rookwood Property and employs a workforce of women that is 70%, unusual in the manufacturing industry. And Rookwood is proud to include female small business owners within its brands, and which says we love product line. So that's hurrah for all the female business owners, and I love that. So that is about Cincinnati, and let me welcome my guest tonight, who's from the wonderful city of Chennai. Welcome, Janaki Sabesh, who needs no introduction, but I had the pleasure of introducing you. Hi, Janaki, how are you tonight?
I am good, Usha. Thank you so much for having me on Storytellers Cafe and all the way from Cincinnati. I'm sure it's really wonderful for you to go to the studio there and host it from there.
Absolutely. You know, I never dreamt of it. As soon as US opened on November 8th, our tickets were booked and we flew in. And then here I am because, it's exciting to sit in the studio and do this actually. Storytellers Cafe, as you know, was launched last year in June during the thick of the pandemic, and has given a kind of a solace to all the listeners, storytellers especially, who've got a platform. And mainly since it caters to the global Indian diaspora. So the idea was to host Indian storytellers. And it's been my pleasure, and what a journey it's been. And we are so happy to host you for this special edition. I've been wanting to have Janki, and somehow we've been missing our days. But then, as
I
you
think
know,
it was for this special occasion, Usha. You know,
yes,
I love the spirited voice that came in just before yours, saying chusti, furti, and masti. I think so. I think you had to do this full of chusti, furti, masti from the studios there.
absolutely. Janki, let me just introduce you because my pleasure to the uninitiated who don't know about you. Janki Sabesh is, how do I say, a successful, accomplished actor. But before that, let me say Janki's passion is storytelling, performing, writing, living them. Fantastic, immersing herself in her stories. Janki began her career telling stories on screen through documentaries, teleserials, corporate films, and advertisements, assisting directors like Rajiv Mehrotra, Simi Garewal, Sridhar Kshirsagar, P. Jayendra, and P.C. Sreeram of GS Films. She's a graduate in political science from the famous Lady Sriram College, Delhi, LSR, with a master's in mass communication from Jamia Millia Islamia University. Kudos to you, Janki. What a notable feat from two fantastic academic institutions. Janki has more than 20 years of experience in the media and communication space as part of Goldwire Communication, JS Films, and Qube Cinema. Janki, as you know, friends, is an accomplished actor. Her body of work spans films across all South Indian languages and several modeling assignments. She has worked with stalwarts like Kamal Hassan, Madhavan, Mani Ratnam, Rajiv Menon and Shankar, and of course, the beautiful Miss World Aishwarya Rai, among many others. Janki's engagement with children began in 1995 when she produced an audio cassette, The Learning Train, that simplified the world of numbers through stories and songs. That's interesting, Janki. She founded her storytelling initiative Golpo, Tales Unlimited, in 2014. Golpo, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think it's a Bengali word meaning story in Bengali, aimed at taking stories and storytelling to children and adults. Janki also collaborates with Tulika Books, Karadi Tales, and other publishers to take their stories to various audiences and events at schools, colleges, corporates, lit festivals. Some of the lit fests notable that she's performed in are the Bangalore Literature Festival, Bokaro Lit Fest in Kohima, Delhi, Varanasi, the Hindu Lit Fest, Ooty Literature Festival, Vizag Junior Lit Fest, Kitabu Lit Fest in Jodhpur, and Disha Lit Fest in Kanpur, to name a few. Janki is also a successful voiceover artist and has also brought many a character to life on screen for cartoons. She has also lent her voice for commercials and documentaries. Most recently, she has worked on a Spotify original podcast series, Talking Tales from Tulika. She works with educators and other professional networks on using effective storytelling techniques in communication and marketing. She's also the chief ideator at Lil Trails, as it's called, an initiative to build a community among parents and children. Janki is also a visiting faculty at the Chennai Business School and conducts a course titled Lead Yourself Through Storytelling. Oh, I love that. Right? A story is what business is all about, uniting an
Yeah.
idea with a strong emotion. Her sessions are highly interactive and a unique blend of narration, music, drama, and movement. Janaki plays an active role in Chennai's live performance community, experimenting with monologues, stand up comedy, and theatre. A simple question from a child during one of her sessions prompted her to write her first picture book, The Jungle Storytelling Festival, published by Tulika Books, available in 9 languages. My friends, you can always get Janki on her social handles. So it's her why am I failing for words? Definitely, I've got over my jet lag. Her website is www.janakisabesh.com. On YouTube, it's Janaki Sabesh, and on LinkedIn, also she is Janaki Sabesh. So you can definitely check her out on these social handles. Her second picture book, which she has co authored with her daughter, will be releasing later this year. Janki believes a story told from the heart will always win more hearts. I couldn't agree more with you, Janki. Welcome
Thank you.
again to Storytellers Cafe. A pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Usha. And I think we have collaborated before, Usha. So we know of each other's um, storytelling. I think as a profession, as an art form, is just everybody is now talking about storytelling. But I think each one of us, human beings, are storytellers. And I guess today, if you are hosting this on a storytellers cafe, I couldn't be more happy than to share my thoughts and whatever it is that you have any questions for me and be happy to answer.
Yes, Janki, like you know, we both are storytellers, and it's always been my attempt to bring something different. You know, in the pandemic, in the last 2 years, everyone has got onto the virtual platform and doing. But how do we bring something that's different, a variety to stories? Stories are, of course, stories. But then how do we spice it up? I know that you are part of our ragas and kathas, and it was beautiful the way you brought in Bhairav,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Rag,
yes.
Bhairav, and the South Indian counterpart to it was
Maya Malava Gaule.
Maya Madhava Gowda. Beautiful story about Sita in the Uttarakanda. Beautiful. And that's what we love, you know. So we've been doing something different, and you've been part of it because I've been following your trajectory in the past 1 year because I hardly go
Yes,
onto social media. But Storytellers Cafe has kind of, I have to be, you know, watch what is out there. And it's been wonderful to see your journey. You're part of the Tata Lit Live, the Little Children's Festival. I missed it, of course, because of the jet lag and the time difference. And wonderful. And you're also now part of the CSMVS International Storytelling
yes,
Festival, where we both are
yes.
performing. So, Janki, tell us, like I always ask my, guests, what's your story? What is your story? Tell us.
So I think it all started with, like we all say, at home, and where Appa was the storyteller. I mean, imagine, everybody grows up with stories, but Appa was different because imagine this really, really cold winter in Delhi. And, I had to be woken up. My sister had to be woken up. She was in school, I was in college, and Amma's already come and she says, Janaki, get up, I've already made your hot cup of coffee. And I say another 2 minutes, with taking my head out of the razai and saying, Amma, just 2 minutes more. And she's trying to wake up my sister Rekha, and Rekha also says another 2 minutes. But then suddenly, after this multiple attempts of Amma fails, comes an Appa, and suddenly, out of nowhere, imagine it's early morning, winter, chill morning of winter in Delhi, and suddenly you hear this voice, मैं क्या जानू क्या जादू है जादू है जादू है. And you say, Appa, don't. That is how he used to wake us up. And he was this, for him everything was drama. A simple coffee was drama. Going to the office, coming back, with his tiffin box full of jalebis was drama, because he had to tell, he needed an audience, and we were there, my sister and I, and Amma, who taught me a lesson or two. Now that I'm able to look back and understand, she was such an amazing listener. So this whole thing about, Appa being the storyteller, Amma being the listener, and we being the audience, I think just laid the foundation for me also to seek my audience, to do this, saying that, oh, if you do this, you get shabashi, you get claps, and people actually listen to you, and you have people, whoever it was, my audience, either school or college, people were very invested in listening to you. So I think that is how my storytelling journey actually started. And like Usha, you spoke about LSR. I think LSR made me realize. Of course, school also. I used to be on in all those dramas and school prayer and other activities connected with the school. But in LSR, I became the secretary of the Indian Music Society. Then I used to go to I used to represent LSR in music, in drama, in ghazal singing. So I think I followed what Appa told me of don't say no to opportunities really very, very closely, because I loved going there to each and every competition, because Appa told me that you don't have to come, you don't have to be pressurized, you don't have to win. Just go there for the experience. And that kind of made me feel very light. I just went there. I mean, it didn't matter. Of course, truth be told, I mean, I did feel bad when I didn't win prizes, but then, as, when you're growing up, these are those little things which now you look back and say, oh, that was nothing. But in those days, when Appa made sure that he listened to me every time I came back from college and spoke about, I did this, I sang this ghazal, he used to sit and correct my diction. He used to get me cassettes of Mehdi Hasan Sahab, and he used to encourage me. He was a violinist himself. I mean, he used to work for this publisher. I mean, he was in the book line, but he was also a musician. He played the violin, and he encouraged, and he used to make sure that if I had to learn something, he would go to the length and breadth and get that expert, somebody who knows the ghazal, or who knows the Tirupugal, or who knows that Carnatic the particular song which maybe my tutor had not taught. So I think these are the stories that were brewing at home and made me the person who I am today. If today I am able to embrace different things, different aspects of storytelling, it is because of the foundation that my family gave me, my amma, appa, and my sister, who was always there, my younger sister. Even to this day, before I go on any show, any storytelling performance, or even a shoot, anything, I mean, she has this saying, Tathastu. And I that is a link, which makes me feel so happy. That is the bond that the story between her and me we have created. And then, of course, after LSR, it was Jamia Millia, where I learned more about communications and photography and radio. And after that, it has been a journey of getting into films, modeling. And there I must acknowledge my mother-in-law, my atte, Sita Lakshmi Subramaniam, who was the one who pushed me into modeling. And she said, you'll be able to do it. Even though I had never modeled before, she had more, I think she knew that I could make it. She said, no, you've done drama and all, this is nothing. And she pushed me to it. And then one thing led to the other. And I think 30 films and no regrets. So that has been the kind of story of my life, Usha.
Wonderful, wonderful, Janki, that you've had such a female support in your family.
Yes.
and that too from a very traditional South Indian family, but I always believe that women in India are very forward thinking. And if given, I would say not a chance, it's a choice that you make, that they could do anything, suppress
Absolutely.
any impediment that comes across their way. That's wonderful because Jamia Millia, yes, has churned out such wonderful yes, storytellers, news anchors, and everyone. And that must have kind of given you an edge into storytelling, right? With your background of films, modeling, because everything is a story. You've
Yes.
been, telling stories. So that has given you an edge. And before we proceed to listen to a story, as you know, the USP of Storytellers Cafe is to listen to stories. And since you have such varied experience, you can tell the story. And if you have anything to share
Of
about
course.
storytelling to all the listeners, viewers, the newbie
Yes.
storytellers, because I'm sure I too learn a lot from my guests. So we would love to listen from you.
Sure. So I am going to tell a story, share a story, which I learned from. I mean, I saw Geeta ma'am performing. I'm a student of Kathalaya, like you are, Rosha, and I jumped into storytelling in 2014 when she had come to our corporate office. I was in the corporate in business and sales at that time in a media company. And when she performed a very simple story, I was looking at myself saying, where have you forgotten this aspect of storytelling, Janaki? It was like a reminder. And I quickly, asked her if I could come. And in fact, my company is the one who sent me saying, okay, go ahead and do this 3-day course. So I did the Katalaya course, and it was so wonderful. And the story that I'm going to share is one of the stories that was there in the syllabus. But there is a story about the story. So I'm going to, share the story now, Usha, and then I
Sure.
will also tell you a little backstory about that also.
Absolutely. We love listening, and
Okay,
the stage is yours.
all right. So this is about an old couple, Oji-san and Oba-san, the man, the grand old man and the grand old woman in Japan, in the mountains of Japan. And there it was really, really cold, and it was New Year's Eve. And this old woman said, I think you need to go and sell those straw hats that you've made so painstakingly. And he said, yes, because I need you to make some rice cakes. She said, yes, the moment you sell and you make money and you get me the ingredients, I will make the rice cake. So off he went, this old man carrying some nice hats which he had made. But that day, when he went to the marketplace, he found that nobody was interested. Nobody was interested in buying his beautiful hats. Now he tried. He said, would you like some kaza? Kaza. Kaza is those bamboo hats. Kaza for you, kaza for you, kaza for you. But nobody was interested. And then he said, all right, today nobody is interested. And he went back home. But as he was going back home, he found these Jizo statues. Now, Jizo statues are made of stone, and they are like the deities for children and adults. And everybody bows in front of them. And they consider them as, somebody who would look after them, their well being. Now he found that it was snowing so much that the Jesus would be cold because they were all not covered. He had those hats with him, and he said, what am I going to do? Let me at least cover the Jesus heads with these straw hats. And he gave the 4 hats that he had, and the 5th Jesus statue, he gave his own hat. And he gave it and then came back to his home. The old woman opened the door and she said, so I see that you have sold all the hats. And he said, I wish I had. And I, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't sell even one. So, but then where are those hats? He said, he told her the entire story of how he had, covered these Jesus statues with those hats. And she said, that's wonderful. At least they are now protected from the snow. It's okay. And they went off to sleep. As they were in deep sleep, they started hearing some kind of noises or some kind of a marching sound. Gicciano io koda kasano rio todo che nikita zo. Gicciano io koda kasano rio todo che nikita zo. Where, oh, where is the old man's house? We've come to give a token of our thanks. They opened the door, and when they opened the door, it was the entire Jesus statues who had marched and piled up this huge mountain of goodies, which included rice cakes, which included vegetables, which included cakes. And they were so thrilled. They said, wait, wait. But then they didn't wait. The Jesus statues had gone off. And they were so thrilled. Oji san and Oba-san, the old man and woman, they just took the rice cakes and they had such a wonderful New Year's Eve. And as they ushered in the new year, they went back to the Jesus statues the next day and they bowed in front of them and they said, thank you for your kindness. But that's when I think we realized that the kindness came from the old man and the woman. And that's how this beautiful tale of this old man and old woman that I heard, and I mean, it was there in one of our, books, a booklet that Kathalaya had shared. And Geeta ma'am had given us these puppets. So I'm going to show you. This is, of course, the old woman and the old man. Let me show you the old man. All right. So this is the old man and this is the old woman. So last week for Children's Day, I had to perform a show for the toddlers, but with using puppets. So the backstory. Now this is the backstory. So I had these puppets and I said they wanted the virtue of kindness and all to be shared. Now, as I started think, I said, why don't we make these little straw hats? And I thought I had those little hats or some small little umbrella-looking thing, but then my husband, who always is, thinking of backdrops, and he's the more creative than me. He said, I'm going to make, and he sat and made these little hats. Now you might say, so what about it that he made these hats? But he made these hats the previous day. Chennai was inundated. There was no power. It was flood. I mean, our apartment was flooded. The ground floor was, and we had one source of light. The inverter was on. We had one source of light. And in that, I was also, just as I was telling the story of this, I also was, I experienced kindness from my husband, who made these beautiful hats for me. And that's when I realized this entire storytelling is not just one. I mean, even if you are alone, even if you are the lone storyteller, you need to have a lot of things going right. You need the power to be there. I mean, imagine the power came back 1 hour before the show. So I was filled with gratitude, and I said, is it just a coincidence that I am sharing a story on kindness? And here I am engulfed in kindness and gratitude from all sides. So that is when I got very consumed as a storyteller that day, Usha. And I felt that, these are the little things that we storytellers experience. It's not just the story. It is also to find out, is there a song? And when I did my research, I found that there is a song, because it is a very famous story. So I had a young friend who knows a little bit of Japanese, and she kind of corrected my diction. So what happens is, a story, you choose a story, or sometimes the story chooses you. Sounds cliche, but then it is true. And what happens is, everything comes together because your intent is right. Because you want the children who are listening to you on that very day to be immersed in the story, and you want them to have the experience of that kindness. So I was very, very um, thrilled, and I was very, very happy, and I said a silent thank you to all the things that, all the forces that made sure that my storytelling on that day, on 12th of November, went seamlessly.
Awesome, awesome, Janki. This is one of my favorite stories. It's Jizu, hats.
Jizo, yeah, Kaza Jizo.
Yeah, and this story I heard about 10, 12 years back, 15 years back from this wonderful storyteller, Tanya Bhatt from New
Okay.
Zealand.
Ah,
And she tells this story beautiful. So the words that she uses is, of course, it's a little different, the story.
yeah.
The old man goes to the market where there's hustle and bustle and tries to sell the bolt of cloth that his wife has made herself
Oh,
and
okay.
doesn't, and bumps into a stranger who's also sold nothing in the marketplace.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
they decide to exchange a gift. He
Exchange.
gives the hats and takes the bolt of cloth. And while he's up the mountainside, it's snowing. And there at a distance, he can see people. Then he realizes they're not people, they are Jesus, and the snow
Jesus.
is falling. So, the kindness of his heart, he takes these hats and he puts it on them. But he doesn't have the sixth hat.
Hat. So
So,
he
he
puts
takes
it.
his own muffler and covers it.
Muffler, and yeah,
And
okay, okay.
then the Jesus come in the night and they are saying, Juhiya son, Juhiya son, Shahan, Shahan. Where is the old man who gave the hats to the Jesus? And they
Oh,
come, the sound resounds, they are so afraid, and then they leave this, just like you said, this whole sack full of gifts, sake, rice cakes, kimono, gold, silver, everything, whatever you, and then you can hear them going down the mountainside saying, go well, little old man, may peace be with you. It's a beautiful story of giving. And I would say the Jesus blessed you. They are child protectors. They're
yes,
worshipped
yes, yes,
in
yes,
Japan,
yes.
the
Yeah,
Jesus. So I'm sure they, on Children's Day, how appropriate
yeah.
that your intent is always there, noble, then the universe, of course, like you said, the forces of nature will definitely not conspire, will do something for the fruition of whatever you've been planning.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story. I love listening to this story. Janki, a couple of years back, I told this to a very famous ladies' club in Mumbai, and this was during Christmas. And there were tears in some of their eyes
I see.
because this is a story about giving,
Absolutely.
sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
And it made the old man and old woman so happy. They went hungry that night. They didn't
Hmm.
have anything to eat, but they
Yeah.
were happy that they had done this act of kindness. And pandemic has all been about that. It's taught
Yeah.
us to be kind, to be
Yes.
compassionate, to think about others, right?
True. True.
Wonderful. What a lovely story. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful story. So, Janki, um, wanted to ask you that now that you are not only a storyteller, you don multiple hats, but you are also now a facilitator and trainer.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us about your present journey uh, in storytelling? You know?
I think what has really sprung up, especially during the pandemic. So I hung up my I said bye bye to my corporate life 2 years back, and um, I was telling stories there also because I was in sales and I was heading this entire digital cinema initiative, and I had this huge team, and I used to come back and tell them stories, and not realizing that it was stories. Most of the time we are doing a lot of things, but it's only when you look back and you say, my God, I was telling stories even then, because stories became those bridges. When I came back from a client's place and I was telling this to my colleagues, and they say, ma'am, tell us this story. So what happened? It was always that they wanted to know. There was a beginning, there was a middle, and there was an end. But what happened after, as soon as I said bye to corporate world, in a couple of months, the pandemic hit, and then we were all within this box. And I think that's when we were all pushed, all storytellers adapted. And I went on to collaborate with this beautiful couple, Avanti and Rajavel Sundar of Little Trails. And I just said, let's just do some Instagram live. And because, see, till then, I was not at all comfortable sitting in front of this box because it was all physical. And I was greedy because I wanted the instant gratification of the children. And here you don't know, you have to mute, unmute. What was this? I mean, I'm performing to a screen. And how am I going to, imagine? You have to tell your brain that there are children, there are 500 or 20 or 10 or whatever the number, it doesn't matter, but you are in the screen, and then you are still trying to get, where do I look? Do I look to the left? Do I look to the right? Do I look straight? Do I look up? Where do I keep the light? All this, I decided that, okay, I'm going to take a plunge. I was not ready for the kind of response that I got. So I went Insta Live, and there were these people, and especially women, mothers and fathers also saying, I can tell you that 5 to 5:30 every day I was going live for about 15 days. As soon as the schools announced that they were going to shut school and that there is something called this corona that has hit us, they said, you have taken such a big load off us because there's something that the kids can look forward to. And Avanti is an artist, so we had an art immediately. So we would have a story, and then, in those days Insta was just two people, you couldn't have multiple people and all that. I then realized that you have to get out of your comfort zone. So what? I mean, you can't say that, no, 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 I want physics. If you want to. See, there are people, and I respect them for it. There are still people who don't want to take this space, but that's okay. Whatever you could. And the biggest learning for me during this pandemic was embrace your imperfection. I cannot be perfect. I might forget a line or two. Hello, I'm human. I can't be this picture perfect. Then I'll have to do it, then I'll have to edit it, then I'll have to put it together. But then the charm of the naturalness goes away. And that's when corporates started approaching me saying, would you like to do this for our colleagues who are stuck at home? I decided to do fun things for them, start a little bit of comedy, a little bit of stories. I packaged it, and we had some really, I had a program called Hakuna Matata, then celebrating your story, celebrating self. These were the little programs that I put together. And when people started calling me again and the word got around, I said, oh, this is another door for me. And I need to just make sure that. So, this whole thing of Appa saying, don't say no to an opportunity, I kind of rephrased it and saying, say yes to things that I have not done. So I am pushing myself out of the, I would say yes, and then I would say, how do I reinvent the wheel? How do I do this? But I guess all of us storytellers work like that because it's not, there's nothing ready made for us. If you have to do a program, you have to customize it. and you have to build brick by brick. So I realized that never say no to opportunities. I said say yes now to anything that you would want to. Your immediate thing is to say no, 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 I've never done this before. Even puppets, I'm not. When the school approached me, I said all right. Even last year I did. Puppetry is nothing. I saw a lot of videos online. I went, and I know you do a lot with puppetry, so it's there. The world is a stage, and there are many teachers, and I learned. And the children are not going to judge me saying she did not hold this puppet here, right, or there. They just want to immerse themselves in the story at that time. So my latest something that I really liked, I did a workshop for the finance community, and it was about, can you S struck of tell a story, about them being, from, they were doing a massive program on reinventing themselves. So these are things that are coming up, and I'm loving it, because every time I'm pushing myself, it's like they say, right, practicing Kaizen, it is where you become 1% better than what you were yesterday. So I think I have found my Kaizenness, if there is a word as that, to become better and say that, can I do something better than what I did yesterday? I might fail, but it's okay. I'll get up and still carry on.
Well said, Janki. Yes, like we all did various workshops during the pandemic, and one was, how do we navigate through these difficult times? And stories have been a go-to. They've
Absolutely.
helped us navigate because stories give us those vicarious pleasure. You put yourself in the place of the character, maybe your protagonist or an antagonist, and how did they come out of the situation. So, and then it teaches, hey, you know that story, right?
Mhm.
Just tell the story to yourself again, and then there you go. So it has definitely helped, and pandemic has helped us storytellers actually. I mean, the kind of work and the kind of stories that we've been telling, and also the narrative has shifted, and how beautifully shifted to
Yes,
stories of compassion, kindness, stories which challenge you, stories about mental health,
yes,
stories about overcoming so many other things, and that is the beauty. And everyday experience teaches us something new. So
absolutely.
that was wonderful. In fact, somebody was asking me for a resource person for the future of storytelling in India. And the names I was getting was foreign tellers, authors, and I was aghast. I said the future of storytelling in India should be addressed by Indian tellers.
Yes, yes, of
We have
course.
master storytellers, two of the doyens, Geeta Ramanujam and Jiva Raghunath.
Jiva. Yeah.
They should be in your panel. And I said, include me as well.
Mhm.
We know about storytelling, but not a foreigner who doesn't know anything about the future of storytelling. So that brings me to the question, and of course, your story. Maybe you could wrap it up with this question that what do you feel about the future of storytelling in India? I know the West is looking at India and there is immense talent, but we need to kind of garner it, bring it together into such a force that, it is something and then it's out there. So, so, what do you think? I mean, take your time. You can tell your
Sure.
story and then go ahead and answer this question.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So I think definitely the future of storytelling is bright. It's there. It's all plastered on the wall. It's nice and bold letters. It's there, and you can't miss. I mean, even from corporates, everybody says, "Don't show me data. Tell me what the story is." I mean, when you that I think sums up the future of storytelling. Whether it's Jeff Bezos or Narayana Murthy sir here, everybody wants to know what is the story. Nobody has the time. I mean, imagine Instagram has 1 minute. It was just 30 seconds. And in 1 minute, if you're able to tell your story, I mean, I've worked in commercials all my life. So, I mean, I use it in 30 seconds, you're able to tell your story. So, if you are able to tell your story with the purpose in mind, what is it that you want to convey? I think that is the most where we get confused is the purpose is kind of suddenly lost in the entire excitement of telling the story. So if you even in a corporate or with children or with adults or with college students, if the purpose is to say kindness, or the purpose is to say that you need to, you need to buck up, you need to do this or that, any particular specific targets that you need to, complete, you can do that with telling your story better, which is why in Chennai Business School we have this lead yourself through storytelling. It's not about how do I tell my story better, that you will improve that. We are all born storytellers, but some of us have taken it up as a profession, so we read about it, we undergo classes, we try to get the best. We don't try to be others, because then you lose your authenticity. And
Absolutely.
stories, if told right, will actually show you as the authentic you to the person. So if you need to be authentic, if you need to sell something in the authentic manner, if you need a message to be conveyed in the most authentic manner, it is only via stories. And that is the future of storytelling, and it is there. You can't ignore.
Yes, it solves the energy crisis because when you tell a story, you only exhale carbon dioxide. You don't leave any carbon footprint, and it is the best sustainable
Yeah, absolutely.
future is through
Yes, well said.
storytelling. And Janki, we're talking about the Chennai Business School, and when I do some of my niche workshops with organizations. And the Columbia Business School, one of them defined storytelling as uniting an idea with a strong emotion makes for a compelling, compulsive storytelling. So that's all you need. Like you said, that is what you need. So
Like somebody said, the most important words is in ever spoken is tell me a story. So that I think is definitely the future of
absolutely,
storytelling. So I'd
absolutely.
like to I'd like to end with a very very small story which comes from the state that I live in, and it's an old folk tale which has been retold several times, and it's one of my favorite. So it is about this little village in Tamil Nadu where it is said that there's no electricity and oil lamps are still burning, but what happens when the flame is extinguished in the night? These flames go to the nearest temple. Mostly in the village, there'll be this one temple. They go and gossip about what is happening in each other's homes. So, in one such village, Parvati, the local teacher, was getting married to Kamban, a businessman from the other village. Now, it was almost like chutti, holiday for everybody. Nobody was interested in doing anything else, but they were all in Parvati's home. And Parvati's father was a flower seller. So everybody came with lots and lots of gifts. But there was this one lady, an old woman, Tai, who came that night, just the previous day, and she said, Parvati, Parvati, I don't have anything to give you, Ma. Parvati said, it's okay, I just need your blessings. No, along with my blessings, I am going to share a story and a song. Please, please share it with anybody and everybody that you come across. Because what is the use of a story and a song which is not shared? She said, of course, Thai. And she sat down. And Thai shared this beautiful story. And Parvati was listening to her without even blinking. And then when Thai started to sing, Parvati had tears of joy in her eyes. And it was daybreak, and Thai said, "Today you are going to get married, ma. All the best, but remember to share the story and the song." And she said, "Of course, Thai, I promise." The next day, Parvati and Kamban got married, and Parvati went to Kamban's village. Now, Parvati got a job in that village also as a teacher, but she was so engrossed in setting up her home. She had got lots of gifts. She had got an urli, she had got a valakku, a lamp, and all kinds of things. And she had a very good handwriting. So she started keeping Kamban's accounts and writing letters and all that. Now, Kamban also got a lot of gifts, but the most prized gift was a nice carved box and a beetle nut crusher. Now, Kamban loved his vettala, the pan. So, after a nice lunch that Parvati cooked, Kamban sat with his vettala and put some sunnambu and put some pak supari and put it in his mouth. Oh, we were having such a wonderful life. And Parvati was so busy that she completely forgot about the story and the song. I am a story I want to be told before I grow weary and old. I am a song I want to be sung while I am still lively and young. கதை நான் என்னை சொல்லுங்க நான் காணாம போகும் முன்னே சொல்லுங்க பாடல் நான் என்னை பாடுங்க என் இளமை அழியும் முன்னே பாடுங்க. We are a story and a song. We are getting bored. We want to scream and shout. Now they were really angry. Parvati had forgotten. And one day while she was frying chilies for some, some dish that she was making, she sneezed. And in the first sneeze, the story came out. The second sneeze, the song came out. Now, spirits in our world have to take on a materialistic, almost a shape of a materialistic. So, what did they do? They took the shape of, one of them took the shape of the box, the carved box, and one of them, the song, took the shape of the beetle nut crusher, and off they went. And that day, Kamban came back. He was in a foul mood. He had his dinner. And when he sat down to have his vettale, his pan, his most prized possession they were missing. And he said, "Where are they?" And he screamed at Parvati. And Parvati said, "I haven't seen them." And then that was their first fight. And Parvati was in tears. Now, in a huff, Kamban left the house. And where do men go when they get very angry? To sulk to the same village temple. And he went there and he sulked and he sulked. Suddenly he heard lots of sounds. He peeked from behind the pillar and he saw that there were flames all discussing about what was happening. And one flame just walked in and said, "Oh, do you know what happened?" And told the entire story of how the story and the song came out and took the shape of these two, the carved box and the beetle nut crusher. And that's when Kamban realized, and he felt terrible for having, spoken to Parvati like that. He rushed back home and he told Parvati. And Parvati then realized and she said, "Of course, how could I forget?" So Kamban said, "Never mind, now at least please share the story and the song." Then, as she opened her mouth, they were no longer there. She couldn't share. They fell asleep. Meanwhile, in the village temple, all the flames decided that they would try and convince the story and the song to go back to Parvati. So imagine this. It was almost like Diwali. All the flames, they were going from here and there and finally found the beetle nut crusher and the carved box, which was very close to Parvati's home, convinced them, and they went back. And as Parvati took a deep breath, she was snoring heavily that day. The story went in. The song went in. And the next day morning, Kamban requested Parvati again, "Can you try?" And this time, when Parvati opened her mouth, she was able to tell the story and she was able to sing that song. கதை சொல்லுங்க, கதை கேளுங்க, பாட்டு பாடுங்க, பாட்டு கேளுங்க. Sing the story, sing the story and the song. Tell the story, sing the song. கதை சொல்லுங்க, கதை கேளுங்க, பாட்டு பாடுங்க, பாட்டு கேளுங்க. So if you have a story and a song that you've not shared, beware. Please share them before they take any other avatar. So this it has been retold and published by Karadi Tales. It's called The Story and the Song, and it's been written by Manasi Subramaniam. So that is what I wanted to end with.
A lovely story, Janki, a favorite of mine. And I do retell, but keep the version that Karadi Tales has bought it. And I shared this last in Canada, in Toronto. They have this 1001 Friday nights when I
Okay.
visited about a couple of years back for my niece's wedding. It's a beautiful story because the Westerners know the story and the song, A.K. Ramanujam's the
Yes, yes,
original version, which is about the shoes, left
yeah,
strangers
correct.
as thing, and beautifully adapted by Karadi Tales. I love it. And thank you. You've told two of my favorite stories. And for all the listeners who are watching us live on the radio as well today, because we've gone live on Cincinnati Radio, as well as the listeners across the United States and India. You're watching Janaki Sabesh, wonderful storyteller, as you know, who's a voiceover artist, singer. You've heard her. I think she is a Carnatic classical trained singer,
Yes.
right, Janki? And of course, an actor par excellence, as well as a performance storyteller. So you're watching her do. If you miss this session, don't fret. It's there in our archives. You just have to go to the Storytellers Cafe playlist on Facebook or on YouTube, Janki Sabesh, and you will get this segment. Please listen, share it with your friends, because stories are one virus that you can pass on. You won't get infected. You might get infected in a very nice way.
Nice way.
Infected. You tell the stories, share stories with everyone. So do pass this virus around. Yeah, there's no embargo on this virus. Okay. So, Janki, what a wonderful, wonderful session. And I'm so happy to be in the studios. I can see lovely little bungalows, ducks in the pond swimming and slightly drizzling. It's gray outside with the fall colors, but it's so beautiful because this is the ideal location time, winter time, to sit, everyone, gathering around and listening to stories. And even though India doesn't have winter as such in Chennai, of course, monsoons, I believe Tirupati is again
Yeah,
floating.
inundated. Yeah.
Yes. So, but still, rainy season is the most lovely time to listen to stories.
Yes.
So, do share this, please. Drop in your comments. You can follow Janki on her social handles, which are already mentioned in the page. And Janki, thank you so much. I thank
Thank you.
Bharat FM Media, the radio station, Manan Raval, who's the founder, to give me the opportunity to host Storytellers Cafe. And Janki, wonderful to have you as my guest. This is a special episode that I would never forget. All my episodes are special. Such wonderful tellers who've come and graced the studios. But this is special in Cincinnati with you in Chennai, and wonderful. Yes. So,
Thank
friends,
you. Thank you for having me as your guest in Storytellers Cafe. And I really hope for all those who have tuned in and who are listening, if it's good morning to you. And of course, a good night to all of us in India. And thank you for joining and listening, because And remember to keep sharing, because I think that's how we thrive. And if, as a society, we're all so hardwired, I mean, as a race, we are hardwired for stories. And as much as we love listening, we also love sharing. I think that's what your sessions are all about, Usha. So thank you for bringing all those tellers and all those varied artists on your show.
No, it's been a wonderful journey, and there are so many more. There are so many Indians. So stay tuned, guys. Definitely, you will be here on the screen. I haven't got kind of tired of this. Not yet. In fact, it is my frenzy, and we'll see you on the other side soon, same place, same time on Storytellers Cafe. Thank you so much, Janki. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Usha.
Thank you. Aisha.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.